Welcome to my Loyola University, Maryland, Prince George's County Educational Technology Cohort Internship website. In the photo, I'm the person with the heart on my jacket. My name is Ginger Blunt. I'm a middle school English teacher at Greenbelt Middle School in Greenbelt, Maryland. I'm completing a master's degree in educational technology at Loyola University, Maryland. In this website, you will see key concepts in my pre-internship portfolio, as well as the technology professional development leadership during my semester-long internship. Pre-internship portfolio. The following subpages display artifacts of the completed requirements for a master's degree in educational technology. The displayed artifacts for each key concept also exemplify the standards aligned with the International Society for Technology in Education, or ISTE for teachers. As you can see, there are 18 ISTE key concept tabs. Each of these key concept artifacts are connected to a major assignment or activity. The coursework had to be met with proficiency or better for the entire duration of the 2-year Loyola EdTech master's degree program. Examples of specific coursework are represented here in my pre-internship portfolio. The next section tab is my internship portfolio. In this section of my website, I have documented rationales, artifacts for the 5 key concepts that I have facilitated in PD meetings, my internship blog with my personal reflections, and a panel presentation feedback form. The 5 key concepts. The next section is a representation of the artifacts of 5 out of 18 key concepts that I believe that I have mastered as a Loyola EdTech student. The first key concept is number 1, student-centered learning. 1.3, candidates will be able to select, evaluate, facilitate the use of adaptive and assistive technologies to support student learning. So as you can see here, the first key concept, 1.3, was meant by teaching and facilitating a PD on Flipgrid, a socially interactive video grid response tool. My colleagues were very engaged in the interactive PD. As you can see on the final feedback data on this bar graph here, 100% of the teachers that participated believed that their students would be open to using Flipgrid. As you can see also, I have some more artifacts here. First, I have my agenda from the day of the professional development session in May. Secondly, I have the Flipgrid survey that my colleagues completed at the end of the session. Next, I have some reflections about using Flipgrid from my colleagues. And finally, again, I have data on one of the important questions from the session. The second key concept that I have focused on is key concept 2, instructional design. Focus 2.1, candidates will apply instructional design models to improve lesson design. Key concept 2.1 was met by facilitating a UBD professional development session. The focus of this particular professional development session was to present the UBD, or Understanding by Design model, to introduce the UBD lesson planning template and collaborate with colleagues to write a UBD lesson plan for a future lesson. My principal asked if I could present a technology PD for new teachers that are in my building. Since lesson planning is a vital part of teaching and learning, I decided to feature a UBD information and lesson planning session so that my colleagues that are new to the teaching profession could get step-by-step guidance. Here I have an infographic that I created. I presented this in the PD session, and it's basically a system to help teachers teach more efficiently. The main basis of this model is strengthening units of study using backward design. And if I scroll down a little farther, I have a very quick video here. The 7 tenets of the UBD framework that I presented and reviewed with my colleagues, the 3 stages of backwards design, the big ideas of UBD and why they are important. And finally, I have a UBD lesson plan template that we use to focus on each section of the lesson plan before we collaborated on planning together. My other artifacts include the actual template that we use, and the colleagues were able to take it with them so they can do future UBD lesson plans. And below you see an exit ticket that the participants use for feedback. Key concept 3 is technology integration models and technical tasks. 3.1 focuses on candidates will be able to apply models of technology in school such as SAMR, TPAC, and/or TIM to incorporate technology tools to improve teaching and learning. Concept key 3.1 was met through my facilitation of a SAMR professional development session also. I created an interactive multimedia presentation on the SAMR model using the tech tool Nearpod. And here is an example of the actual presentation that I used. And here the participants logged in and they could actually and actively participate on each section. The first question of my PD survey asked if the staff used technology to transform their lessons. About 85% of my colleagues believed that they were transforming their lessons using technology. However, after the Nearpod presentation and activities, many of the teachers, about 80%, realized that they were actually just substituting technology in their lessons. For example, substituting means you would use a device to type, like Google Doc, instead of just writing an essay with pencil and paper. I also want to show some other artifacts that I used or results that I had gotten from the feedback and the activities from the SAMR PD. The first one here is a session report, and these are just reflections and answers of examples of substitution, augmentation, and modification that the teachers use in the classroom. They listed the examples that they actually have used or are still using. Next, we have a session report from a poll that was asked, and the question is, do you regularly enhance or transform your lessons using technology? So we have in the first column all of my colleagues' names and their responses, and on my far right I have the data results from the answers that they had given. Finally, I have a digital corkboard here, and it asked the very last question of the session. And the question was, what levels of SAMR do you plan to reach by the end of the school year or the beginning of next school year? Substitution, augmentation, modification, or redefinition. And as you can see, many of my colleagues listed modification, redefinition. So I'm really glad that a lot of them were thinking that they wanted to make a change at the end of the school year or the beginning of next school year by implementation of technology in their classrooms. The fourth key concept, 8, models and theories of change. Focusing on 8.2, candidates will be able to plan for the future of technology in a school using models of change. These artifacts that you see here assisted in meeting key concept 8.2. My internship proposal addressed how I plan to help create a technological change in my school. Using several elements of Ely's conditions of change, I was able to implement a semester-long plan to incorporate PD sessions that focused on EdTech tools for classroom teachers. And I will scroll down a little more for you guys to see my artifacts. First, I have my actual internship proposal that I submitted to the administrative team of my school and my Loyola advisor. They include the goals of my internship and objectives of my internship. Next, I have a Twitter post here. This was posted about a month after my first PD session. This is my actual SAM-R model PD session. Next, I have the very first email when I contacted the administrator that is in charge of professional development sessions at my school, and also on the same email I included our school's technology coordinator. And finally here I have Ely's 8 conditions of change, and this is what I based my internship proposal. The fifth and final example of my key concept mastery is key concept 7, digital citizenship. 7.1, candidates will be able to model and build a positive school culture that supports the safe, healthy, and ethical use of technology. Key concept 7.1 was met by my creation and implementation of school-wide cyberbullying policies for teachers and students and a school AUP, which means acceptable use policy for technology utilization. This AUP was initially created for my former school, Hyattsville Middle, who did not have a formal technology policy in place. However, after transitioning to Greenbelt Middle School the following year, I was informed by the administrative team that they needed an AUP or acceptable use policy for Greenbelt as well. The policy addresses the large amount of undesirable behaviors on schools' digital devices and general technology usage, and additionally a plan to become positive digital citizens. So my artifact for 7.1, one of them was an issue paper where I initially began writing about the issues in technology and in schools, which includes cyberbullying. And it was also the place where I initially began creating the acceptable use policy for our school. Also, below, you can see the actual presentation that I presented to the school on acceptable uses of internet-based technology. Finally, I have my Loyola internship blog. The following section highlights my anecdotal journal entries from personal experiences during my internship at Greenbelt Middle School. The next step section, which is below, includes several elements of my professional action plan as an educator in the future. The good news about the end of my internship is that I will be the new PDLT, Professional Development Lead Teacher, at the beginning of this upcoming school year. I will continue to build my PLN, and I will research and think about possible PhD programs. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being on my panel and listening to my presentation.